Hi there, good evening, or hello, good morning, wherever you are. My name is Leonie Wright. I'm a nutrition coach, a speaker, and author of Cook Right, the No Added Sugar recipe book. This is the book that I wrote. It's now a year old, and I'm very proud of it, so it's the first thing I'm showing to you. Well, you've come here today to find out a little bit more about sugar. I'm passionate about sugar, not to eat it, but yeah, that really, if finally it has been recognized that sugar is the most detrimental to our health, more so than fat and salt, the other ingredients that we need to look out for. So in my talk today, I would like to go through with you to see actually what happens when sugar comes in your body. And that is not only sugar that can be detrimental to your health, but there are some other ingredients as well that you need to look out for. I'll briefly touch on those because I thought that gives you the whole picture. And then finally, at the end, I will give you some tips how you can reduce your sugar intake, what you can do, because there is a lot you can do to prevent it. Now, you think, of course, well, who is this lady? What does she know about sugar? I'm Leonie Wright, and I'm a nutrition coach. I speak a lot in public, which I love doing because I love informing, motivating, and encouraging people to look at the foods as a way of improving their health, fitness, and ultimately their waistline as well, so that they can maintain their health and fitness forever. Because I'm sure you will agree with me that your health is your wealth, and you are the only one that can look after it because nobody else will. And you can have all the money in the world, but if you're not healthy, you won't be able to enjoy it. So I want to give you some tips about how you can reduce your sugar intake. Now, unfortunately, in the last 50 till 100 years, we haven't been very good at looking after our health, and our health has deteriorated enormously. For example, there are currently about 25% of the population suffers from obesity, which is only going up. By 2025, they expect that 40% of the population will be obese. And that's a staggering number, especially if you know that children between the ages of 2 and 10, a quarter of them is already obese. And between the ages of 11 and 15, there's actually a third of young people that are already obese or overweight. So that's staggering. So we're heading for a big disaster. Currently, the NHS has to spend about £5 billion on obesity-related diseases. Now, one of those obesity-related diseases is type 2 diabetes. Currently, they're estimating that 3.3 million people in the UK suffer from type 2 diabetes, and this will go up to 5 million in about 2025. So that's an enormous number. I'm of the opinion, and with me many others, are that you can actually reduce diabetes to 90 till 95% of them can be can disappear or get better through a healthy eating, healthy lifestyle. So that means healthy eating, doing lots of exercise, and drinking plenty of water. I'll talk more about that a little bit later. So the other staggering figure that we know here in the UK is that currently 1 in 2 people has a chance of developing some form of cancer in their lifetime. It used to be 1 till 3, but that's only if you are born before 1960. If you've been born after 1960, your chances are 1 in 2, which is a staggering number. And then not to talk about heart-related diseases, heart attacks, strokes is currently the biggest killer in the UK. Now, you're probably wondering, what does this lady know about food and healthy eating? And I just want to share with you my story. 8 years ago, I went to the doctor. I used to suffer from high blood pressure, and I'd been on medication for about 14 years. When I went to my regular doctor's visit, my cholesterol level had gone up as well. And the doctor recommended that I would have to take statins because the number was quite considerably higher. I used to suffer from migraine as well. And I really didn't want to take my high blood pressure medication. I did at the time everything I could to find out what the cause was, but it was put down to my genes. It's in my family. My parents have it as well, so I sort of accepted that. When the doctor was talking about statins, I knew what the side effects of statin were. I had researched that. And I definitely didn't want to go on statins. So I said, well, can I try something else? And I did some research, and on a family visit to Holland, hence the funny accent, I'm Dutch, I came across a 6 weeks healthy eating program, which was not a weight loss program, but a program that cleanses your body on cellular level. So not a diet, although you had to adjust your lifestyle, you had to eat differently, cutting out all sugar was one of the things. So no alcohol, no white refined carbohydrates, etc. And because I did that, after 6 weeks, well, to be fair, 3 months, my blood pressure came down. When I discussed it with my GP, and we agreed that I would take myself off the medication and see what happened. But the other good side effect was that my cholesterol level went down as well, and my migraines disappeared. And I was so surprised, because I didn't realize what the influence of food was on my health. Just by making little changes, my health had improved so considerably, and I didn't need to take any more medication. So from that moment, I felt I had to share my message with everybody, as many people as I could. So I introduced a 6 weeks healthy eating program here in the UK. I needed to translate everything because it involves daily emails. I'm checking up on people what they eat, give them advice. I'm basically in daily contact with them. So after that, I thought, well, this is my passion. And from then on came I do healthy lunches, healthy dinners. I do health checks. I've now written a book. I'm in the process of writing a second book. And my next thing is to be on television. So that's why I'm trying out this webinar. And sugar, of course, is a subject I talk a lot about, and I will talk a lot about in this talk. But as I said before, there are 2 other ingredients that you need to look out for if you want to improve your health. And the first one is fat. Now, we've become a little bit afraid of fat, and we tend to go for fat-free because we think that's better for us. And well, to be honest, since the 1970s, fat consumption has gone down, but by 16%, but obesity has doubled. So we as a population, reducing our fat intake hasn't really worked, because we have actually become more obese than we were before. And people have become a little bit afraid of fat, but fat actually is good for you. What's not good for you is the wrong fats. So what you need are fats, essential fats in like fish, nuts, seeds, olive oil, coconut oil. And if you have saturated fats, which is the sort of in the past has always been seen as a bad fat, if you have saturated fats, it depends what kind of fat you have. If you have fat from grass-fed animals and you don't have it too often, it isn't at all harmful for you. So use real butter. Use milk that's organic, skimmed, and if preferably from grass-fed cows. Sorry, for a Dutch person, it's quite difficult to pronounce the word. And if you have red meats, have it once or twice a week, but not more. So don't be afraid of fat. Just don't use too much of the wrong one and use a lot of the good one. Omega-3 fat is very important for you and could be beneficial as well for your ligaments, your brain, etc. I'm not talking about fat. Now, the next ingredient I want to talk with you about, and I've actually got some with me here, is white salt. White salt is very, very refined and it's very toxic. So there you can see the white salt. It's so toxic that the body can't really deal with it. It doesn't like the salt at all because it needs to work very hard to get rid of it. And that causes often high blood pressure. And because of high blood pressure, you can have strokes, your kidney can be damaged. So stay away from the white salt. However, there is a very good alternative. I don't know if you have heard about Himalayan salt. It's pink salt. It comes from the Himalayan mountains and actually has got 84 different minerals in there that are beneficial for you. So if you want to replace your white refined salt, I would recommend to use the Himalayan salt. It's available in health food stores. Some supermarkets have it as well, but just make sure that it really comes from the Himalayan mountains and that it's not white salt that has been painted pink or dyed pink. Finally, right, we come to sugar. Sugar is one of the most addictive ingredients in the foods that we eat, and it is more addictive than smoking and drugs and alcohol. And it's very, very difficult to get rid of it. Salt and fat are also very addictive. So what happens actually in your brain when you have fat, salt or sugar, it releases something called dopamine, which is a neurotransmitter related to your pleasure center. And once you have eaten the food, your body releases opioids, which give you emotional relief. And this neurotransmitter path in your brain is there all the time. So with the mere thought of thinking, oh, I really would like to have a piece of cake, or I really fancy a slice of white bread, although you might not be hungry, you are drawn to eat it. So it's very difficult to break through these addictions, but rest assured, you can do it. You just need to give yourself time, and you have to be motivated enough. Now, back to sugar. Just to give you an idea, I have got here with me a bag of sugar. You can see it, it's over here. This is a kilo of sugar, so about 2 pounds of sugar. Now, the average English person about 100 years ago used to consume 5 per year. If you got any idea how many we consume nowadays, and I'm talking about sugar and sugar substitutes. Well, now we consume about 50 till 60 a year. And 85% of those sugar or sugar substitutes are actually hidden in the foods that we eat, and 15% is what we add to it. And this is converting into about 1 million tons of sugar a year. Average in the UK uses of sugar is about 15 teaspoons. And sugary drinks, we drink about 50 liters. So this is an enormous amount, and really we should diminish it. And I'm so, so pleased that finally the government has seen that really we have to reduce our sugar intake. Some people might have seen the program of Jamie Oliver called Sugar Rush. If you haven't, I would highly recommend you watch it. He does talk about the sugar in the foods, but he also talks about the damage it can do to your teeth. And I haven't even talked about that, but that's another thing you have to bear in mind. Of course, I'm much more focused on the food side, but definitely sugar is bad for your teeth and it's bad for your health. So why would you have it? Because sugar is not a nutrient, it's not a vitamin, not a mineral, and all it does, it actually plays havoc with your body. Coming back to the government giving it a high priority is that they want to reduce the recommended daily sugar intake. Currently in the UK, it's 12 teaspoons a day, and they want to reduce that to 6 teaspoons a day, which would be in line with the World Health Organization. Now, if you would have 6 teaspoons a day of sugar and you would not burn it off, and this is where the clue is, most people who have too much sugar don't burn it off, you would put on in weight about 4.5 kilos a year, which is roughly more 9.5 pounds a year. So that's an enormous amount. Now, you might think that sugar only comes in the white refined form, and that's the sugar we mostly know, of course. But sugar comes in different forms. There are 54 different names of sugar. Now, many of them you might not know, but the most important one are about 17 of them. There are things like even sugars or sugar substitutes that you might think are healthy will cause a raise in your blood sugar level. And why is this raise in your blood sugar level important? Well, I'll come back to that in a minute. But first of all, I wanted to talk about the other sugars that could raise your blood sugar level. It's things like fructose, which is a fruit sugar. It is definitely not harmful for you, but if you have too much of it, your blood sugar level will rise. It's the same with honey, aspartame, lactose, sucralose, sorbitol, and many, many others, malitol, dextrose, they're all sugars. And I've only covered a few of the names, the ones that we mostly see on packaging. Talking about packaging, Where can you find the content of sugar? The content of sugar is on the nutritional facts, nutritional information. So if I just got a label here, this, you probably won't be able to see it, but this is just a label. On there you will find carbohydrates, and under the carbohydrates you will find the sugar. So often I check, when I go to the supermarket, I check how much sugar there is in the products. This is a fat-free yogurt, which is perceived by many people to be healthy. And just in a comparison, I've got another fat-free yogurt here. Now both say 0% fat, so most people think, oh, both are equally healthy. But this has got per 100 milliliter 3 teaspoons of sugar in here, and this is only 1 teaspoon of sugar per 100 milliliter. Now here they have added sugar. This is the natural sugar that comes in the yogurt from the lactose. So far better to have this one with some fruit, the one on this side, than that one, because that has added sugar in there. And that is, yeah, we often think they're both equal, but they're not. So you always look at the label, look at the sugar. Now, you of course want to know how much gram, if you can read on the packaging, how much grams of sugar is in there. If you want to convert that to teaspoons, 1 teaspoon is 4 grams of sugar. So that's important to know. Then it gives you some idea about how much sugar there is in ingredients. Now, what you actually need to know, and that's the most important thing about sugar, is that what happens actually once it comes into your body. Well, when you eat food, any type of food, it will convert into glucose, which is gives you energy. If it goes in, because the glucose will go to your cells, it will go in your system, and it will be used as energy. Now, if it's not used up as energy, it will convert into fat. And let me just explain that a little bit in more detail. So if there is too much sugar, so your glucose level goes up, the body doesn't like it. And the glucose levels are kept in boundaries by insulin, which is produced by the pancreas. And every time it goes up too high, the pancreas will produce insulin to counterbalance the raise in blood sugar level. And also you don't want it to be too low, because that causes other health issues. So it's very important that this glucose level in your body is in balance and on an equal level. So every time when you eat something and your glucose levels go up, the pancreas has to work and produce the insulin to lower it. And if you do that many times a day, so if you eat lots of sweet things and you do that too much, the pancreas will at a certain moment say, well, I'm fed up with this, I'm conking out, I'm not doing this anymore. And it will not produce the amount of insulin that is necessary to lower your blood sugar level. So then you have type 2 diabetes, and you'll either have to go on medication, and if it is very bad, you will even have to inject yourself with insulin. So, but if you look after yourself, this doesn't need to happen. You just, and this is not easy for everybody, reduce your sugar intake. Now, we're coming back to what happens when your food transfers into glucose. I said before, it is transferred into energy. The other way, what is surplus in the body will be stored, first of all, in your liver and muscles, and then we call it glycogen, and that is short-term energy. So if you are in a fight and flight mode, so you see a lion and you have to run away, the energy will be taken from your liver and muscles, so the glycogen will be released in your body to give you energy. Now, if your liver and muscles are full, that extra glucose needs to go somewhere. And then the insulin is produced, and the insulin will convert that extra glucose in fat, which can go anywhere in your body. Now, if there is not enough energy in your body, it will release it. So that is sort of the process that happens when there is too much sugar. If you burn it off, it's not an issue. Still, and then I would say look at your sugar intake, because it's still important where the sugar comes from. So that is in short what happens, and I think that's where the is of vital importance that you understand, and I hope you do, how it works. If not, do send me an email. I'm always happy to answer any questions you have. Now, we've just talked about sugar and the effects it has on our blood sugar level. But it's not only sugar that raises our blood sugar level or our glucose levels. There are 4 other ingredients that do the same. Now, the first one is the white refined carbohydrates or the simple carbohydrates. People have different words for them. Simple carbohydrates are things like white bread, white flour, white rice, pasta, confectionery, alcohol, sugary drinks, chocolate. So it's quite a lot, which can also raise your blood sugar level. And then there are 3 other things that could raise your blood sugar level that you might not be aware of. One is stress, the other one is smoking, and the third one is caffeine. Now, what those 3 things do is they release adrenaline in your body. And when adrenaline is released in your body, your blood sugar levels will rise. The glycogen, which is stored in your liver and muscles, will be released in your system. And also the adrenaline will prevent all the food that you have eaten, nutrients and vitamins, to be absorbed in your body. So it's very important, if you can, to live stress-free. And that's not difficult. That's not easy in our daily life because we have so many stresses. We have families, we have children, we have work, other issues that we all need to juggle. But take time out for yourself. You can do some meditation or go for a walk, go to the gym, and also then you will burn off extra fat as well, or energy. And caffeine, of course, very addictive. It also raises your blood sugar level. So I recommend not to have more than 2 or 3 caffeinated coffees or tea. Tea has a lesser amount of caffeine in it, but also can raise your blood sugar level. And stay away from those horrible sugarings that give you lots of energy because they have caffeine in it as well. And smoking, smoking raises your blood sugar level. It's very detrimental for your health. We all know that, really, of the packaging that we see. And often it is a suppressant. People who want to stop smoking often start to eat more, but you don't necessarily need to then put on weight. You just need to know what foods to eat. Right, I just want to show you some samples of things that on the surface you might think are very healthy for you to eat, and I hope you can see them on the screen. So I go to a lot of morning meetings in my work, and I go to breakfast meetings, and often if I'm attending those meetings, people say, "Oh, Leonie, am I eating healthy?" So what I see, what people eat are cereals. So I've got here a bowl of cereals, some flakes with some milk in there. They drink a glass of orange juice. This is the glass, this is the orange juice. They think that's healthy. They smoke a cigarette and they might have a cup of coffee with it. Now, what I normally do if I do this talk is I ask people how much sugar they think is in a breakfast like this. So a glass of orange juice, a bowl of cereals, some milk, coffee, and a cigarette. Now, this is my glass and I'm going to fill it up and you'll be surprised because in there, and I hope you're counting, this is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So in this breakfast, which on the surface you think might be very healthy, is, well, I would say about a third of this glass is now full of sugar. This is 14 teaspoons of sugar. The orange juice already has 7.5 teaspoons of sugar. It's highly concentrated. The cereals have 2.25 teaspoons of sugar in there. Then you have the milk, which is 2 teaspoons, and then your cigarette as well. So on the surface you think, well, what's wrong with these whole grain cereals and orange juice? It still raises your blood sugar level, and especially if you bear in mind that now the daily allowance is 12 of teaspoons of extra sugar and you have to go down to 6. Yeah, that is quite a considerable amount. Now, what would be a healthy alternative? We had a very good place where we went for breakfast where they served scrambled eggs and smoked salmon. If you have scrambled egg and smoked salmon, there is no sugar in there. You can treat yourself on some mushrooms and tomatoes, which is my favorite breakfast. And you would only have 2 teaspoons of sugar from the tomato and the mushrooms, not even that, maybe 1.5. So it's considerably less, plus you have taken it more out of a natural product, which is far better for you. And other good breakfast alternatives are a slice of wholemeal bread with some nut butter, or an apple with some nut butter. I have a wonderful recipe for pancakes, banana pancakes, very healthy for you, enough protein, it keeps you fuller for longer as well. In my recipe book, of course, I've written it is one of the most popular recipes. I've had so many good comments on that one. I'm talking to you a little bit about an orange and orange juice. I can't get rid of this orange juice, can't I? Right. They did a test with a group of girls and they gave them 12 oranges, fresh ones like these, to eat. And they wanted them to drink as much orange juice as they could. Now, it turned out that on average, they could eat 1 till 1.5 orange. And from the orange juice, they could drink about 3/4 liter. Now, the content of an orange, if you have 1.5, is about 3 teaspoons, 3.3¼ teaspoons of sugar in 1.5 orange. If they drink 3/4 liter of orange juice, that was the equivalent of 15 teaspoons of sugar. Plus, if you have the orange, you have the whole fruit, you have the fiber in there, which makes you fuller for longer, and you've got all the vitamins and minerals in there as well. So it's far better for you to have this. Now, don't say, oh, press 3 or 4 oranges in the morning. Just have the whole fruit. It, as I said, is far, far better for you than have the concentrated orange juice, because really there is too much sugar in that, although it's a natural sugar. Right, so these are my examples. Now, I'm sure that after all this talk about sugar, you're dying to know how you can reduce your sugar intake. First of all, there are 3 main things what you can do is eat more protein and eat foods that are low in GI. GI is glycemic index, and glycemic index is a measurement of how fast food converts into energy in your body. So it's always good to make a choice of low glycemic index, but also incorporate protein in your diet. Have it maybe 3 till 4 times a day. What is a good protein? As I said before, eggs, smoked salmon, lean meats, nuts, seeds, plain yogurts. Some people ask me, what are your thoughts about soya yogurt? I like it myself a lot. The only thing is you have to be careful not to have too much of it, because it is also processed. And if you use soya products, it's best to have the fermented form. It's better for your body, but it's again very difficult to get hold of that. Tofu, if you have tofu, don't have it too much, or corn, just maybe once or twice a day. I wouldn't have more than that. So incorporate good proteins. Now, the other thing you can do is, the second advice I give is to have more complex carbohydrates in your diet. And the complex carbohydrates are the vegetables and the fruits. Now, currently, the government recommends we have about 5 pieces of fruit or vegetables a day. I'm of the opinion that you should have at least 8 to 10 pieces of fruit or vegetables a day. And coming back to the fruit, you think, oh, all right, I'll have 10 pieces of fruit. don't recommend that. I recommend not more than 2 till 3 pieces of fruit. So a piece of fruit is an orange, is about 100 grams of berries, half a banana, half an apple, satsuma, kiwi. They're all pieces of fruit and not more than 3. And finally, incorporate more fiber in your diet. So things like whole grain bread, whole grain rice, whole grain pasta, quinoa. I'm sure you've come across, have you seen the spiralizers, which are fantastic replacement to making pasta, because you make the pasta from courgettes, which is fantastic. And rice, for example, you can use cauliflower for that as well. There's some good recipes on that on several websites, and I've got some as well. So if you want to contact me about that, I'm here and happy to help, because that's my passion. It meant so much for me in my life, my family. Yes, I'm happy to share that with you. Also, at the end, I have 10 tips in details that you could do to improve your health and your fitness and your waistline. Contact me on the email that will be with this, and I'll be very happy to send it to you. If you're interested in downloading and having a look at some of my recipes, go to my website, which is www.eatright.co.uk. And Eat Right is EATWRIGHT. Aren't I lucky with the surname like Wright? Name of my company is Eat Right, so I'm very happy to have met the Mr. Right in my life. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a company name. Okay, so if you've liked what you hear, let me know. I have a wonderful course on the Merkabah website, actually a course and a coaching program. The course is called The Fundamentals of Health, where I will have also video tips and advice about how to reduce your sugar and how you generally can live a healthy life. And we are really, really excited about a new program that we started this year, which is Change the Way You Eat for Good, which is the 6 weeks healthy eating program that changed my life, and that I think I can help many, many other people to change their life with. If you book it before the 19th of December, 12 o'clock, you get a fantastic 10% discount. What you get for that is me coaching you every day. I'll be in daily contact. I'll be checking what you're eating. You will get food supplements to make sure that your body gets everything it needs, so there's no shortage of any nutrients, vitamins or minerals. You will get a keto sticks to measure if you're burning off fat, because that's what we're trying to do with this program. Instead of taking the energy from the unhealthy carbohydrates, we force the body to take its energy from the surplus fats. So it's a really, really good program to get rid of any waste. As a result, you will feel so much better, have so much more energy, and maybe even can reduce your medication if you suffer from high blood pressure, high cholesterol, type 2 diabetes, arthritis, sleeping problems. It's got many, many benefits. So I hope to see you again. And I hope that I will be able to help you to a healthier life. Any questions, contact me, I said, on my website. And if you want to send me an email, it's Leonie, Leonie, at eatright, eatwright.co.uk. I hope you found this broadcast useful. Thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I hope to meet you again sometime. Thank you. Bye-bye.